It's hot here.
Yeah.
My mother,
Allow it, Nicky.
you know that, right? My mother-in-law gave me when I turned 50 a few years ago. My mother-in-law gave me at her house, and she goes like, "Here, you gotta need it." I don't know where it is. Oh yeah, there it is right there. I'm gonna show it to you what you need.
Yeah, show me.
Hang on.
Oh yes.
It's a portable.
She's a great mother-in-law. She knew that was coming. Yeah.
She bought 3. And I go, oh wow. All the gifts, that was a thoughtful one.
Yeah.
And then I keep this handy everywhere I go. I have lots of them, like a little fan for the yeah, we all do. Well, I cannot wait to hear all about you and all about what you do. And I am so looking forward to that. What I'm going to do first is to basically introduce you, and it's very conversational, the whole podcast too. You know that, and I think it's going to be great content. I'm trying to push it to be accessible to all the women out there going through the menopause and all of this during the global pandemic, obviously.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tie it in together. Yeah, because it's very timely right now, and I'm doing this, and I do have, believe it or not.
Oh yeah. In case you don't see that.
We're gonna do this. Woo! It's hot here.
Yeah.
All about you and all about what you do, and I am so looking forward to that. I apologize in advance. I do not know how to pronounce your last name.
Kristjansson. Kristjansson. So it's not very hard.
I'm going to let you say that because
Okay.
I do not know. I'm just going to call you Clarissa.
Let's call me Clarissa. That's fine.
That's why I pick a pen name that is so easy. Dare.
Yeah.
I'm Indonesian.
Yeah.
And I have this Portuguese Indonesian, whatever. I made a name.
That's nice.
And people don't know how to pronounce it correctly, so I just said I'll forget it. And I just created this pen name, and I think it fits it. All right, Clarissa.
Good.
Gotta go?
Go.
That's good to go. All right. Can you see me still?
I can see your photo.
Oh, you can? All right.
I can. Yeah.
Hopefully it's a good photo because I cannot see the photo.
Very nice. You're on a beach. You look lovely.
Thank you so much, Clarissa. All right. Should we start, Clarissa?
Yes, let's start.
Menopause during pandemic. I know there is never a good time for such a disaster or crisis, right? To experience this phenomenon. Not that many already experiencing unstable moods, anxiety, stress, and hot flashes. Yes. Menopause is really a time in life when our bodies and emotions often feel out of control and unpredictable. Boy, do I know that. With all of these additional stresses and anxiety can be multiplied exponentially, like to the roof, right? Menopause can happen in your 40s or 50s, but the average age, so I researched this, right, is about 51 in the United States. All right, guys, how are you? Welcome back to Dare's podcast. Apa kabar? Selamat pagi, bonjour, buenos dias, and I'm glad to see you guys here, and thank you for choosing to be here with me. And then hopefully that you keep it here for the next few minutes or so. I do have a guest this morning listening, and another inspiring podcast. So I have a very special guest, all the way from Sweden, menopause transition expert, Clarissa. Clarissa, with her 25 years experience, is an internationally recognized transition expert, and she helps many, many women who are transitioning through midlife learn how to use holistic mind-body practices to manage change and regain confidence and experience a new sense of freedom and a new energy. Boy, do we need all of that, right? She's also an author of a book called The Mindful Menopause. And believe it or not, she also has a podcast, and she is the host of the Thriving Through Menopause podcast. So let's welcome her right now, and I'm sure she is listening. And
I am listening, and I can hear you now.
Oh, great. Oh my gosh. There you are. I know Zoom is acting up this morning, right?
Yeah,
Hi.
I lost
good
your
morning.
sound. Good morning. I lost your sound there, but good morning, Nicky. I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah, you are based in Sweden, my dear, and I am here from Southern California. How is the weather and what time is it over there?
Well, it's just gone 7 o'clock in the evening here, and the weather is typical summer. Some nice days and a bit of rain too.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, we need some kind of rain here in Southern California. Here's a question. I went through incredible accolades. By the way, I mentioned about your book, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later. And I also mentioned that you do have a Thriving Through Menopause podcast. So congratulations. I want to listen to some of that.
Thank you.
So let's dive in. My question, so how does this COVID-19 global pandemic impact menopausal women around the world, and what do we need to know on this?
That's a really great question, Nicky, that isn't really being asked enough. A pandemic like this makes all of us feel very anxious. That's the first thing it does. It creates a lot of stress. And unfortunately, women going through those menopause years are already under a lot of stress. We're often suffering with anxiety. We're not sleeping very well. We may feel irritable, moody, brain foggy. And nothing about this pandemic helps that. So I think that for women, that's really dialed up.
Like we need it more, right? We're already experiencing this unstable mood, anxiety, like I said earlier, stress, hot flashes. What do we need more, exponentially?
Yeah. So I think that is the number one thing. And then right. I think, being at home is, in some ways, this flexibility of working from home has probably been quite good for a lot of women. And that's the flip side, because it's never all bad. Because in a way, when we don't have a great day and we're working from home, we can stay in our pajamas, or we can take some time out. Nobody else needs to see our hot flashes and, our running makeup, and we can sort of avoid that side what we don't do at work. But that's the good side. So it's a good and a bad, but I feel a bit of concern for women at this time. And you know why, Nicky? Because I think that if they need to see their physician, that is just harder at this time. And there's a lot of women who are just not getting the medical support they need when this is going on, because all resources are on about COVID.
Right. What kind of, I want to go back a little bit here. You talk about support, and you talk about, women over there don't get enough of that. What are those in Sweden, for example? What sort of, everybody now is online, everybody now working from home, and,
we all do that now. So we have women suffering from that and they don't know where to go. What would you do as an expert in this field? What would you do in your courses and everything like that, through messages and everything like that, through your podcast? But what is it that Sweden or in your region have created now for that kind of support? In hospitals, probably, I'm imagining. You know?
In Sweden, there's not that much support from our physicians. But if we take the UK, I think the UK is a really good example of where women do get a lot of support. There are a lot of menopause mentors. There are some really great clinics, and women can get support there with those people. And I think that's been set up more and more to be online. So you can speak to somebody online and get help. You can also have your tests. You can do home tests for your hormones and send them in and have them analysed and get them back. So those specialist clinics have really been able to cater for women, whereas your local doctor may be under a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I mean, for example, I wanted to see my doctor, my primary, PCP, my primary care physician. And during the COVID, it's like, no, if it's not really urgent, then I don't need to. And they do ask me, it's like, what is it for? Well, hot flashes, let's say, and it's like, it's really not necessary. But then, I mean, it's something that is really overlooked, or underlooked, I should say, in society where, we mentioned about this, and there's already an additional anxiety, stress, and now we're encountering the hot flashes and trouble in sleeping and things like that. That's affecting everything, and the overall health and mental immunity, overall in our system, as a human being.
Yeah, so those are serious things, and they don't make us feel better. And if we're supposed to be now juggling home, work, homeschooling, just add a few more jobs in for me to do here, The pressure can be quite great. And I think you realize also that we might underperform at our work, but also when we're all stuck together with your partner, your kids, and you are feeling irritable, moody, well, we take it out on them at the best of times. We are not creating great relationships. And there are, in seriousness, a lot of relationships that are under quite a lot of strain at this time because of being pushed together, and we don't feel very well. And then there's just lots of fighting and arguing because of it. And I'm not talking about the extreme. I'm just talking about normal tensions being dialed up between couples.
Right. Now, tell us a little bit about your book, because your book is in relations to your field, your expertise and everything. Tell us a little bit about your book. Not to give it away, obviously, all of it.
Called The Mindful Menopause. So the book is really about how we can approach our menopause differently. Rather than seeing it as, oh my God, it's this midlife crisis, I'm going to be very unwell, I'm going to have these symptoms, it feels like the end of the world. What I want women to do is to say, if we can get into a relationship with our own bodies, if we can learn to think better thoughts, more positive thoughts, be kinder to ourselves, more compassionate, we have a much greater ability to see this time of life as a transition, because that's what it is. We are sort of moving from being a fertile woman to a not fertile woman, from that sort of when everything is your kids and your family, and then we're moving to become that wiser woman. We're in our second spring, and that's what the book's giving people guidance and support to go through that journey that way.
Right. What are your best, advices for? We all tend to get busy, so much busy, but the business can be trimmed down a little bit and say, hey, you know what? Prioritizing it, obviously, managing your time very effectively and all of this, because you're dealing with something right now. I mean, I'm talking about menopausal women around the world, and you're dealing with that too inside your body, your hormone changes and all of this. And then, it's causing the family, the spouse, or, whoever that's around the house and sharing your space with, affected by it. What are your best tips?
Best tip really is, it's called self-leadership. And I think women need much more self-leadership. We need to, first and foremost, have much better boundaries. So we can't say, oh, I'll do everything. Yes, yes, yes. We have to learn the word no. And as women, we take on so much to the point where we're so tired. And then, you know, when your hormones are changing and your adrenals are already shot, well, you know, where are we? We are going down. We're not, no,
down.
Yeah, we're going down. We are spiraling down that exhaustion funnel and we feel less well. So self-leadership and your boundaries. And we have to learn to have a different conversation with other people around us, whether that's our partner, our children, our boss. And we have to start to say, I need you to support me. Because they're not telepathic. If we don't ask them, they just see mum doing everything, wife doing everything. And we have to say, I need you to step up here and help me in this way. We can say that to our colleagues too. Because everybody understands. If we just shout and scream and we get irritable, they think, oh, what's wrong with her? She's got two heads. But if we say, I need you, I need help from you, everybody understands that because everybody at some time in their life has had to ask somebody to help them. So part of self-leadership is about asking for what we need. And those two things are set your boundaries, ask for what you need, and then make your self-care your number one priority. We've got to eat well, rest, exercise. It's not optional, and it's important because there's a lot of changes going on that influence our long-term health. So we need to. We don't really have a choice. But we've got to put ourselves first, and it's not selfish, and that is just, it's non-negotiable, actually, I would say to women.
Yeah, I think a lot of people stigma out there suggesting that self-awareness is selfish, but in fact it's not selfish. It's really taking care of yourself. I mean, look at what's going on around the world right now. I mean, you know, we can't control what's going on out there. It's just so insane. You know, I mean, we go crazy and spin around in circle if we want to, you know, be part of that spinning cycle. But it's just like you said, I mean, you know, set the boundaries, setting the boundaries also what you want to hear, and you gotta have to filter all of this information, obviously, and what works for you and for you that matters in your life, your loved ones, right? Now, I was intrigued about the part where you say communication. Obviously, you gotta have to communicate that to your spouse, you know, and asking, basically. Now, let me ask you, if the spouse is also going through, obviously not menopause, but you know, the midlife crisis, so to speak, for the men, how do you handle that? Because now we have two people around the house in the same space, you know, experiencing, no, because the dynamic is there, right? Not just one, but now we have two. Two people are going through the same thing right now, and then fighting for, they don't know what to fight because they become irritable. The symptoms are about the same, right? And so what do? What can you advise us in that kind of situation?
Sometimes if we can't work together, we need someone to work with, like a relationship counselor or someone who works in like communication between people, because sometimes we just like this, an outside person, and to come in and help us. And that's not a failure. That means that we have to learn as couples a new skill, a new way of being able to talk to each other. It may not be that your relationship is broken, but it may be that the way in which you communicate isn't working. So we have to learn new styles of communication.
So communication, you say, is very important, obviously, in any kind of relationship. So when the two people are in the same space, experiencing the same similar situations, and they cannot control that, then an outside person intervene that situation, so he or she will be able to advise someone like you, for example, right? An expert.
Someone like me, yeah.
Okay.
Or someone who specializes in communication. I mean, I have a good friend, and she works with the Center for Nonviolent Communication, they're called. They're based in New York. But they teach people how to really beautifully communicate in ways that are much more helpful. Being able to ask for what we need, learning to listen to what the person is saying. You know, there are some steps that people go through, and it's a great way to get people to start to be able to speak and listen differently, really relearn the way that we normally communicate, because it doesn't work in this situation where we're locked together. There's nowhere to be but in front of each other. And although we can take a break, it still needs, if it's getting to this, then it's not great.
Right.
Then it's not great.
Well, how long does it last? That's a great question, by the way. This menopause thing, it's not going to last forever. I hope not.
You know what? Most of us would love it to be over really quickly, but that's not always the case. How long does menopause last? Well, that's a little bit individual, actually. For some women, it's just a few years. Unfortunately, for some women, it can be 10 or 15 years. That's just to do with their biology. And sometimes the level of pressure and stress that they're under. So it's very individual. No one can ask me, how long is mine going to last? Because you're not the same as me, you're not the same as the person down the road. But usually it is sort of around the 3 to 4 years.
It lasts until 10 to 15 years. Holy, whew, I don't know about that. So what causes that besides the body chemicals, toxins, and like you said, I mean, that's very interesting. The more you are stressed, the more you're going to suffer from that, right? Through the experiencing the menopause.
You're going to have a much more difficult time. You might have a prolonged time, mainly because you're having difficulty getting hormonal balance. So because if you're very stressed, you've got a lot of cortisol, and cortisol interferes with the correct production and processing of lots of other hormones in your body. So everything just gets blown up because of it. Cortisol makes your sleep hormones go down, so you don't sleep. It interferes with your progesterone production. So if that's already low, it's going to knock that out. And it interferes with our estrogen processing. So, stress creates havoc in the body and affects everything else. It's like, think about it like being lots of nice instruments playing in an orchestra, and then this bad thing comes in. Well, the sound is, it's this. It's this.
Close the damn door on it. It's like, stay out. We don't want you in here.
We want a little bit of cortisol. We want it at a good level where it comes up, because it gives us energy, and it's not all bad. But we don't want excess cortisol that the body isn't clearing out. I mean, if we are stressed or excited, we get a little bit of a cortisol rise, and then it goes back down. It comes up. But when it stays up, then it just plays havoc with the rest of the body, and you've got this chaos going on.
Yeah. And then that's when you get irritable, like irritate easily, anxiety, stress, and all of these things, right? Fear also. We need to talk about fear. Yeah, you know what I mean? Because it's out there right now during the pandemic. The uncertainties and causing the fear, stress, and it's just going up and up with the cortisol and body chemicals. So what are your best advice as far as like taking some supplement or something like that? Because I myself personally, Clarissa, I do not believe taking medication. I mean, I take supplements, I call them my drugs, my drugs, but I don't believe in that. So, I've been trying to research some of the safe and healthy supplements that we women can take during our 50s, right? So what are your best advices in that area?
I mean, actually having a really good basic diet is the first thing. And we need a really strong, healthy gut before we move to supplements.
I cannot live without this. This is every morning. I hate this.
You don't have to do that. I mean, it's fine in small doses, yeah. But and you like,
but not excess, right?
I mean, this is something like nobody can Nobody can stand between me and my Starbucks or my French fries.
And you know that. I mean, we all know, but what we try to do is to eat 80-20. If you ate really well 80% of the time, we are allowed to enjoy our food too. You know, if we never have anything we enjoy, then that's not fun either. But
That's not life.
no, it's not life. And we all know that too much sugar, alcohol, caffeine aren't good for our bodies. They're not good for our liver, and we need our liver to work well to process excess estrogen in the body. That's just how it is. But eating well is the number one thing. And then having some additional supplements. So I like people to take magnesium. It's a great supplement. It's good for so many things in our body. And during the pandemic, we should be taking more magnesium because it really helps with immunity.
Magnesium,
yeah. It's my number one go-to. It helps us to sleep. It's good for, the body's enzyme systems. It's good for the production of a lot of important neurotransmitters that keep our moods up. So that is my number one. But we also need zinc, B vitamins, and D vitamins. So those are things we're often deficient in, but they're important too.
I didn't catch your last one. It went faded away.
Vitamin D and B2 and vitamin, and then zinc. Zinc is the other.
Yeah.
I think most of the time they do come in together, right? The B2 and zinc, I believe, or the magnesium and zinc. I want to ask you something. What about iron? IRON, iron. And I do not want to eat liver. I'm sorry. I'm not going to eat liver. I refuse.
You know what? Unless we can sometimes need iron if we've got a lot of brain fog, because that might be that we're slightly anemic. But as we go through our menopause years, our periods are going to get lighter and eventually, less and less. So our body's need for iron actually drops off during this time. So whereas when we're younger and we're having a monthly period, we need more iron. As we get older, we need less of it. So that's one of the reasons why we can also dial back on red meat. We don't need to eat as much of that. And we can switch to fish and chicken. And we get enough iron from leafy green vegetables.
Yes, I love this stuff. I really do. Spinach especially, and Caesar salads. But, I want to mention too, a lot of these things that we eat these days, and this is so true, I think, in some areas, some parts, right? That it's not organic, and they're all filled with chemicals and artificial and stuff like that. And it's so expensive if you go to organic, I mean, it is. You go to organic, like some of the stores around here, Whole Foods especially. I mean, you have to spend so much. I mean, what do you do? I mean, during the COVID-19 right now, pandemic, people don't have jobs, no income so much, and then now we're going to have to stay healthy. What are your best advices in that area?
That is such a tough thing, because the toxins in our food, the pesticides in our food, particularly the amount of Roundup that is used on crops is really damaging to our hormonal status. A lot of those toxins are endocrine disruptors. And if we can buy local, if you can buy organic, if you can afford it, you have to do it. But it is a terrible choice for people who can't afford. But maybe it's about eating less meat and buying the best quality you can. Maybe say, I'm going to chuck the cheap chicken, which is full of antibiotics and growth promoting hormones. I mean, really horrid things, and say, I'm going to eat less of this. And if I eat chicken, I'm going to choose organic, and instead I'm going to put my money into vegetables that are locally grown or organic, and eat more of those. And I know that's a very tough choice. We want to keep toxins out of our body, so a really great way to do that is to check the toiletries you use. Often they contain toxins that are not good for our hormone balance. And the same goes for our cleaning things like our laundry products and our household cleaners.
Yeah, true.
Trying to use more natural ways to clean, trying to buy the best you can is really important. And filter your water. If you can afford and you have a water filter, filter it, because our water is full of rubbish.
Oh God, yeah. What I've been doing, Clarissa, is I infuse my water with cucumber, whatever, raspberries, cherries and stuff, cucumber especially. That's what I've been using, because I don't like that taste of the water. Anything that they say, oh, it's purified this, it still has that aftertaste or some kind of taste. It doesn't matter whether you pay so much and everything, it still has that. So what I've been doing is just infusing it with this, cucumbers and stuff like that.
That's good. That's good to do. You've got some extra nutrients, and it makes you drink water, which we need to do. As we get older, we don't have as much fluid around our joints, and we need them. We don't want to get stiff. And sometimes women say, well, I've got pain in my joints or I'm a bit stiff. Well, some of that might not be only to do with your hormones. It could be to do with the fact you're dehydrated. So drink lots of water, not, tons and tons, but drink enough water, because it'll also stop you from eating the cookies and the chocolate, because it fills you up.
Like my husband loves those cookies and everything. And I say, okay, cheers, honey, cheers.
Exactly.
I
want to ask you also in this area where the woman, all of us are really trying hard, and this is, like you said, it's transitional stage right now that we're in. So are we slowing down, or what are your thoughts on that? Because I think society, we're all stressed out. So, especially at work. The ones that have businesses, for example, is like, what's going to be the fate in my business now these days in the next, 6 months? Is it going to be a limbo like this, or how is this? I mean, everything is just goes so uncertain. I guess what I'm trying to say is that at this age, at this stage in our lives, what is the best thing to do? I mean, kind of, all right, let's slow down a little bit and, taking care of our health, or do you still want to force ourselves to be out there? I guess it's not really a question. I think it's just more a guidance right now, because it's you know what I mean?
I know what you mean. I would say that's kind of in two bits. I think we will slow down or we'll burn out. And that is, in case people don't listen, is that when our ovaries stop producing estrogen and progesterone, that job goes to our adrenal glands. So if you are very stressed out, then the poor adrenal glands go, oh no, not another job. And they don't do that. And then we have a lot of these imbalances and greater health risks. So we need to dial down the stress so that our body can produce enough estrogen and progesterone for the normal functioning that we need as we go through menopause and beyond. The other thing I think is we can start to prioritize and choose as we get older what we want to do. And that's a big thing. We should be making sure our kids stand on their own 2 feet. And yes, we have to help them now during a pandemic. But we're not a hotel. We're not we're not running a restaurant while we're working from home. Come on, people. This is about, families pulling together, them stepping up, us making them more and more independent, making our partners and saying, I need you to be the person that does the trash, does the laundry, does whatever, so that we prioritize and we start to question. I think this is a great time in our life to question, what do I really want to do here? What kind of a life do I want to have? Do I want to continue with this career and this craziness, or do I want to do something different? And maybe a pandemic also gives you that opportunity. If you've been furloughed, if you've been, your job changes, question yourself and say, is this what I want? Do I want to change? Do I want to do something really different here? Because maybe this isn't just a negative, it's an opportunity to do something different.
Right.
I think that's a lot of us are at home by no choice, right? And then we're all trying to evaluate that right now and think of what is it that we need to do if this goes on for the next so many months and we can't survive business-wise, and what do we need to do? So we're pivoting from that, right? We're pivoting from that and make changes unnecessarily. So let me ask you, how are you staying sustainable in your business? And what are your strategies and tactics to deal with this moving target? I'd like to hear it from you, what you do, and maybe you can share some of the tips, strategies.
I mean, I had already begun to move my business online, and I think that is a reality of what we have to do. We have to be online. I moved my training online. I use Zoom for all my meetings, and I just went, okay, there are no physical meetings. And then, my speaking engagements at first disappeared. I didn't have any speaking engagements, but then people started going, oh, there's a summit here. Would you talk online here? And I just went, yes, 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 yes. And actually, I've grown my email list during this time. I've done more speaking than I ever did before. But
this is more easier now.
Yeah. And very open to the opportunity, and looked at my business and said, well, I've got an online course. How can I make that bigger? So recognizing that some of my more high-end one-to-one might have to wait, I put my effort into my online and grew my masterclasses. And I'm actually going to be working with a television series to run a masterclass, which is very exciting. So that has opened up. And I wasn't expecting that to happen at all. So I've been very open to opportunity, collaborating, building networks, and working that way. And now a lot of my one-to-one clients are starting to come back because they've been through the craziness, and then they're like, oh, they're either going to go back to work or they're in that pivoting space and not sure what to do. And they're coming back to start working with me. But I think I've just stayed in there. I stayed very present. I've posted, I'm mainly on LinkedIn, and I've posted every single day. I've done a lot of video. I've put a lot of content and value out there, which I hope that, and I think I'm seeing that come back to me now, because we can decide whether we're going to fade away and wait for it to be over, or we're going to get proactive and work with others to make things happen.
Just continue to planting the seeds, because we don't know when this is going to be over. They can say all they want, irrespective to how long it may last, right? So yeah, I think great leadership skill is to continue showing that to others. Yeah, that's great. What would you be doing different? I mean, it sounds like you already have it all in pack, right? But is there anything different that you would like to prepare for next time when it does happen? I know people are saying like there's going to be a second round, there's going to be a different kind. I mean, I don't hear that. I just, okay, whatever. Like you said, here's my space. I'm continuing to do this, and this is what I'm going to do. And then if and when we can't predict, things are already set, right?
Right. And I think the other thing is listening to what those people who are in my tribe, what are their pain points? Because it might not be fix my menopause symptoms. It might be, oh my God, right now, I don't know what direction to go in. So it's like, how can I support those people that are in my tribe in the best way I can with all my skills? And that's what I'm listening for. What are their needs? How's that changing? How can I help them get to the other side of this pandemic? So I think that's being quicker at that, more tuned in, across what's happening. And that means you're listening more on all the social platforms as to where people's pain points are. And if you can help them, get in and help them.
Okay, yeah. You mentioned about your tribe. So are you on social media? I mean, I know I always ask my podcast guests, how can we get a hold of you and everything, but do you have specific, that was my next question, because I mean, there are not too many groups out there, right? It's a handful of, people, women like us that is going through this kind of thing and want to get together in a tribe, because it's privacy for one. Secondly, it's a very sensitive subject, right? I think to a lot of us. And then it's not like something like, hey, look, we're, selfie here, selfie that, and we're irritated. We're living in a close group. Is that so?
But I'm active on LinkedIn. That's where most of my tribe hang out, because most of the women I work with are executive women. And I'm quite active on Instagram as well, because there's quite a movement of people who are looking for those sound bites and that on Instagram. And it's a great place to put up short stories. And then it's really the things like my podcast. So people follow my podcast, and I have a lot of wonderful guests on my podcast, and that's been growing and growing during this time. And I'm now one of the top midlife women's podcasts. I got a message today to tell me I'm in the top 15 in the world. So I'm like, oh, really? Which is a bit like, woo.
Yeah. Like I said, I mean, there is a market niche for that. There is a demand for that. I mean, all of us are seeking for solutions, for answers. Like, what are we doing? Like you said, sound bites maybe, or even anything. I mean, I came here to wanting to listen from you, the expert, field industry expert, and I want to listen to you too. How do I have to handle this kind of thing? Now I'm writing down some notes like, okay, magnesium. Okay, I got that. My doctor told me that too. I know the iron, maybe brain fog. After a while, it's like, it doesn't work. Just like how the car, it's been driven for like 2 decades, the car. I think it's time. The car has maintenance every 60,000 miles.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Every 10,000 miles, it has to have service. 60,000 miles. Right. Open the hood and then, okay, we're going to change the whole damn engine now. The car is going through menopause.
You should ask yourself, do I take better care of myself than I do of my car?
That's right. It's like, all right, honey, I need some change of tires. Wow. Yeah, it's been really a very educational with you, Clarissa, and I think it is a need for all of us, a woman, to hear this. I mean, to get all of this kind of information from somebody like you. And there are a couple of things that I was going to ask you, but I want to go back to your tribe. Where do we see you there? Is it on Facebook or is it on other social media?
You'll see me on LinkedIn. That's where I'm really every day. So on LinkedIn, you'll see me post at least 5 times a week, talking about a lot of this midlife transition to my tribe. So that's where you really will connect with me. And as I said on Instagram, I'm Thriving Through Menopause on Instagram. And that's where I post every day as well, information, content, quotes, some inspiration, a few pictures of me. But, sort of that sense that we are inspiring people too. So those are the 2 places. I have Facebook, but I'm not a big Facebook person. I don't know.
Me too.
Facebook and I are not that great friends, but yeah. LinkedIn and Instagram.
I'm glad that I'm not the only one. I feel like sometimes I'm alone. People are chastising me. It's like, you should be on Facebook. You should have your own tribe. You should have your own this and that, this, that. And I go, no, too much. I am to be honest with you, I've been taking my 3-week challenge, 21-day challenge on the digital detox. It's been hard, but on my phone here, I have a time limit. I've been trying to discipline myself. How long? 5 minutes. But then this phone, I think it lied to me. It says 7 hours sometimes.
I love that.
I think iPhone is lying. I need to talk to Steve Jobs, whoever in charge on Apple. He's not whoever that. I know he's on RIP, but oh my gosh, when I looked at it, like screen time 7 hours. No, I set it for 5 minutes. How did that happen? So we have a lot of room to improve ourselves. There's just so many things in life every day. I think I still believe daily routines and self-discipline is really crucial to our success. Whether in a small, scope in life or whether in a bigger scope in life, I think it should be integrated, the daily routines. And I'm at this age, I'm still working on it. That's what I mean. I mean, it's not a failure. It's not a shame of it. But if I don't need it, like social media, Instagram, I'm taking mute myself. I mute myself. My husband said, "Are you on Instagram?" No, I'm mute. I think I'm taking vacation. How long? It's already 2 months. I'm liking it. I'm liking it because it's like I don't have this extra stuff that I need to post and stuff, And I still am improving myself right now as far as dealing with the internals, the struggles that we live in, the chemical, the toxin, the everything, our daily habits, the habits that we have. What is it that we want to add? What is it that we want to delete? That we're willing, I should say, we're willing to delete, what we're willing to add, and what are the consequences if we do so in those kind of things. Delete, add, subtract it, right? What are your thoughts? Daily routines.
I agree. I really agree, and I really applaud what you're doing in terms of, taking that time out, doing those detoxes, prioritizing where we are. We can have it all, but we can't have it all at once. That dream as we were sold. Just that's my thought. We can have a wonderful career, and we can have a wonderful relationship, but can we really do it all? So we need to have that sense of what's important to me, what gives me good positive energy, what makes me feel well and happy and fulfilled, and what does it make that it feels that it's aligned with my values in life. If it's not, then nothing works, and we need to do that, especially at this time of our lives. We are going to be in a turning point in so many ways. We're going to be we're going into the next 3rd or 30, 40 years of our life. We want that to be amazing. It's a time when we should have an amazing life and not repeat what we did before, unless there are bits of it we'd like to repeat.
Not all of it we can be rebel again,
Absolutely.
We were rebel.
We were rebel when we were a child. Now it's time to be rebel. Is that midlife crisis?
Can age disgracefully.
That's right.
I mentioned this in my last really motivational short video that we spend so much time. I'm trying to piggyback what you just said, Clarissa. We spend so much time already at school, behind classroom, behind the desk, studying until our eyes blow up. A lot of these things that they taught us in school and college years, it really isn't what's in our reality on real world. That's why all of this personal development transformation is business industry is really booming, $1 billion industry, because we are seeking at this age of our world at adult years. Wait a minute, we didn't study the Mississippi River divides into we didn't look at the calculus early analysis. You know what I mean? we don't apply that in our daily life. What we do apply is the internal struggles, trying to be our best, trying to adapt these daily habits, self-discipline, all of these things that has to do with personal developing your personal growth. So now we are all in sync with that. I mean, look at this. All social media talks about how to be the best version of you, how to be successful in this kind of way. We're listening to people who have all of these experiences through their journeys, right? And we're all sharing information. We're all sharing stories. We're all sharing journeys together. That's what the reality of really the world is today. Wouldn't you agree with me?
And I think we get so much by listening to other people's stories and by sharing our story. That's the way we're reaching out, and we're building authentic relationships with people because we have our story. And I think at our age, we have a story, amazing stories. We've been through so much. We've learned so much. We have so much to share and connect with, that we must do that. And we're not having our mother's menopause. We're not going to be 60 and, disappear invisibly into the background. That's not now.
Oh,
No. I'm 60 now, nearly, in a few weeks' time, and I'm not ready to go. I am not ready to go be a granny and be at home.
I'll be right behind you.
Yeah.
I really appreciate women like you who have grounded with the truths and stories and all of your journeys, and you're willing to share that expertise in your field and helping other women to going through these transitional phases in our lives. I think that's incredible. I mean, self-awareness and soul healers, and all of this like I said, I mean, the world full of change agents. I'll call them change agents because that's what we are all. We're catalysts for this kind of thing. We don't want to be quiet, because we just say, hey, you know what? That's very authentic, and we want to share this with you all. I think that's incredible.
I think it's incredible. And I have read some women's stories, and I'm like, wow, how are you even standing? You've been through so much, but these are really strong women, and we're coming out and we're coaching and we're mentoring other women so that they learn from us and they don't have to go through some of the rubbish that we went through,
Yeah, that's another thing too. It's like, hey, you know what? If you listen to this, and I hope you ladies out there, or men even, can help your spouse or your wife or whoever, to go through rather in a smart way, what you have just resonate to all of this advices and information. But more so, I think overall, I do want to. I'm looking at the time right now. I'm sorry. That's why I'm like a tangent a little bit here. I'm looking at the time. We have a few minutes. I'm so sorry it took me that long because I usually wear glasses like this.
But I gave up that.
I know.
What? Quickly here, talking about your podcast. When did you start your podcast, by the way? And how is it going? You said that you had been selected as a top in your country?
My podcast started about just over a year ago. Before that, I did some meditations and talking, but I've had just over 60 episodes of my podcast. So one a week, that's about a year. And I have been amazed at how this podcast has just grown and grown and grown. So we have a lot of good downloads. We have more people listening all around the world to this podcast, and that it got listed as one of the global top 15 midlife women podcasts by FeedSpot. I was like, wow. So that's amazing. And I absolutely love podcasting. I love having such great people come onto the show and talk about their life experiences, talk about what they've done, and talk about how that's helped them develop and be able to help others to grow in different ways. So I don't really talk about menopause symptoms and the really painful stuff. That's in people's stories if they want to share it. But it's how do we, move through this time of life? How do we become stronger women because of our stories and because of learning from others? And that's what the podcast is about, really.
That's really incredible. I think
a lot of us trying to send out the messages through a lot of platforms, and right now, if it has been podcasting, right? But I think it's more effective. A lot of people are busy, and then they only have so much time. It's very convenient, very effective. Also, I'm glad that you enjoy that, and I gotta check it out. I have to check it out.
Thank you, and I just love that this is such a great medium, and there are now nearly 1 million podcasts out there. I have to say there are not that many podcasts for women. We still have a way to go, girls, to get our podcasts out, that are women specific. And I think that's because we're only just learning how to talk about our experiences openly.
Yeah, that's the perfect word to say it, openly. I think if we're willing to be open up a little bit, so much, I think there's so much to learn from each other, so much to learn from each other's experiences, an authentic journey, I think that's a must. I completely agree with you on that. Hey, listen, looks like we're running out of time. I have my glasses on.
So you can check the time.
I know. We gotta bring you back. It's always a pleasure to see another rising and thriving, and choose to continue making so much positive impacts for others. And women like yourself, Clarissa, especially during the times of chaos, like uncertainties like this, I think that speaks volume for the credibility of a character. I really appreciate you. And any last thought? Also, so the listeners get a hold of you. I know that we talk about your podcast, and how did they get a hold of you on your LinkedIn?
If you go to LinkedIn, I'm there as Clarissa Kristjansson, or you can find me on my website, which is ClarissaKristjansson.com. So
great.
My name, if you can spell my name.
I will have
Oh, I know, huh? I will have all of that stuff. I'll have her information, contact for you guys to reach out to her. She's incredible. And listen to her podcast on her podcast bio. So no worries about that. Clarissa's point of difference is her thriving through transition methodology in today's society. And we heard that in the early part of this podcast, especially during the uncertainties like now, where all the stress and anxiety level may increase by default. So we need she says, holistic mind-body approaches to address not only the physical, but the mental, emotional, and spiritual aspects of this life transition, right, Clarissa?
That's right. Nicky, I just love being here and talking to you. I'm so grateful. Thank you.
Oh, you're quite welcome. We love having you, and this is something that, like you said, this is something so needed to be talked about, needed to be openly to talk about, Folks, reach out to her through her social media and email. Like I said, I will have that information in the podcast bio. You don't have to go through this all alone. No, you don't. You don't have to go through this all alone. She's there. She has her own tribe. Reach out to her on LinkedIn. She's out there ready to guide you, all of us here through this journey and life transition. Her website, just in case, I'm going to spell it out for you guys. Clarissa, ClarissTjanSson.com. All right, so that's all for me. Last thing before we go, though, I want to mention about mental immunity. It is the vein of emotional resilience. I know that I mentioned this before. It is what happens when we condition our minds to not only expect fearful thoughts or external challenges, but to tolerate when they occur. It's just, avoiding the pain and recognizing that it will be part of the journey. I just want to mention that to you guys all, to you ladies out there, sick within. Just live your life completely grounded in your truth, as well as your beauty and power and everything else about it. Stay healthy in body and mind, guys. Ladies, stay safe and sane. When you live for your happiness and to serve others, your life will overflow with joy. Remember this, and I want to throw this out and share it with you guys. I do not have hot flashes. I have short, private vacations in the tropics. And that's why I spend most time by the beach. But I can't do that anymore. Thank you again, Clarissa, for sharing your industry experts and all of your expertise and sharing inspiring story, which hope to resonate to a lot of ladies, a lot of women out there listening. After all, we women are the catalyst to greater things in this planet, guys, whether we know it or not. So thank you for all you do, Clarissa, and thank you for your services that you extend to many by healing processes. And, for our listeners, if you enjoy listening to this, please do post and share this podcast to others. Share it, like it, tweet it out, Facebook like it. All this fancy stuff you all do daily. Get the word out there. All right. Okay. Don't forget to subscribe if you're listening on your YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe. We love to see you. We love to see your comment. And I am on LinkedIn too, guys. Come on over and connect with us there, with me and Clarissa. Also post videos regularly on YouTube channel. Check it out. Some inspiration, educational stuff. Don't forget to subscribe, like I said. Share it and leave me the feedback. Feedback is always a true gift for me, and it means a lot. All right, so all our broadcasts here are available in all participating platforms, namely iHeartRadio and iTunes. Again, Clarissa, thank you so much for your just for being here this morning, and wishing you the best of the best and more success in your career, in all what you do. All right, please stay safe for your loved ones and children and family. Please come back soon. Sampai jumpa, guys. Selamat pagi, selamat sore. I am Nicky Dare, and I really, really appreciate you to be here with us. Thank you so much. Oh, you're quite welcome. I really enjoyed this session a lot, and we really want to invite you in about 3-4 months to see how you're doing. And I know it's kind of late right now in Sweden. Really appreciate your time. Thank you so very much, and God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, Clarissa.
Bye.
Can't see my face, but okay. I don't know, my face is frozen.
I got your picture, and I got blank screen.
I know.
All right. Nice to have you in our podcast. Hopefully we see you soon again, and God bless.
Thank you, Nicky.
Stay safe. You too. Have a great week. Enjoy it.
All right, bye.
You have been listening to Nicky Dare's Radio, a podcast of sustainability with your host, Ms. Nicky Dare. Nicky Dare's life has been spent passionately in helping others going through transformation, both personal and professional. Workshops on safety preparedness, situational awareness are available. Also available, the Transformational Coaching Series. For corporate and private group pricing, please contact us. Please visit her website, nickydare.com. All of her broadcasts are available for free download on iTunes podcast Nicky Dare. For more details on opportunities for sponsorships and speaking engagements, please email us at education@nickydare.com. Join her next time, living in purpose and passion. Our mission is to live a sustainable life. With your host, Nicky Dare.